Today I'm going to be unboxing a military class 2 motherboard from MSI. Even though it is military class, this is not part of their gaming series of products. It's a C board, which means it's part of their, I believe it stands for classic series of products. So since this is a socket 1155 board, it means we have full support. Well, not full support. Hold on, I'll get more on that later. We have support for Intel's Core i3, Core i5, and Core i7 processors on the LGA1155 platform. Supports Windows 7. It has a P67 chipset. So what that means is that it does not support the onboard graphics on said CPUs. So it does support the unlocking, overclocking, K-series chips, but no onboard graphics support. It features OC Genie 2, which will overclock your K-series CPU at the push of a button, and it features USB 3 and SATA 3 6 gigabit per second. We have super ferrite chokes as well as solid caps as part of the military class 2 concept, and let's flip over to the back and see what else MSI has to say for themselves. Pretty much the same stuff. We got a couple things that weren't covered on the front, such as Click BIOS, so that is a UEFI graphical BIOS, and we have Winky 3, which is their software that allows you to use your computer before booting into the OS. And that's pretty much it. So why don't we flip this over and have a look at the board itself. In terms of accessories, we've got a pretty basic package here. Drivers and utilities, don't use this, download the latest off the MSI website. We have a quick installation guide, a user's guide for the software applications, as well as a user's guide for this board, as well as a couple of other boards. No, one other board. 3 other boards. We have an I/O shield, which, on a value board like this, it's rare to see it color-coded, but here you have it, it is color-coded. And then we've also got 2 SATA 3 6 gigabit per second cables, so, well, I don't know, they could be anything. Yeah, they're called 6 gigabit per second cables, but there's no actual physical difference between these and 3 gigabit per second cables. One is right angled and one is straight. We have M connectors, which allow you to connect your front panel power, speaker, all that stuff more easily. And then we've also got one for USB. Environmentally friendly cardboard packaging allows us to not see the board yet, although we will soon. Come on. There we go. That's pretty difficult to remove there. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the motherboard box, I'm going to put the board on top, and then we're going to have a look at the P67A-C45. Sticker comes off, and the motherboard comes out. So we got a pretty standard board layout here. It's an ATX form factor board. It has the full complement of 7 slots. I'm just going to take off the OC Genie sticker, as well as the military class 2 sticker, so we can see exactly what we've got to work with here, guys. That's a little challenging to remove. There we are. Okay, so let's look at the overall layout. Once again, value board, 8-pin connector. So MSI is allowing for some serious overclocking going on if they're expecting us to need an 8-pin connector to deliver all of the potential current we could need to the CPU itself. So go ahead and throw that back on there. Remember, these little stoppers are here because you can use a 4-pin connector just by leaving the stopper on there. So it shows you which set to plug your 4-pin ATX connector into if you don't have the full 8-pin ATX connector. We've got a couple of military class 2 themed Mosfet heatsinks on here, so one on that side, one on the top surrounding the CPU socket, which is pretty bare space around it, so you should be able to mount pretty much any heatsinks you want on there. As I mentioned before, this is an LGA1155 socket, which means support for Core i3s, Core i5s, and Core i7s. Do not try to put an 1156 CPU in here, it will not work. We have full support for dual-channel DDR3 memory, and then moving down the right-hand side of the board, we've got our 24-pin ATX connector, and we have some storage. So here, we have 2 SATA 3 6 gigabit per second connectors running off of the Intel chipset, and then we have 4 SATA 2 3 gigabit per second connectors also running off of the Intel chipset. Lots of fan headers on this board. Oh, no, maybe not that many. Okay, 4 fan headers. Reasonable number of fan headers on this board. Moving down the board, we've got our front panel connectors, as well as front USB 3.0, a front USB 2.0 header, front FireWire, as well as front audio. In terms of slot layout, we've got 3 PCI slots. This is a more value-oriented board, so it doesn't surprise me to see PCI slots included, and you may need them if you have a board like this. We've also got 3 PCIe 1X slots, so one of them would be covered if you were to use a dual slot graphics card, which would leave you with 2 PCIe 1X and 3 PCIe slots. Finally, moving on to the I/O shield, we've got one of those combo PS2 keyboard/mouse ports that I'm a big fan of. We have 8 USB 2.0 ports, a clear CMOS button, look at that! Clear CMOS button on a value board. Looks like MSI does have some overclocking in mind with this guy. Alright, we've got our coaxial as well as optical audio out, FireWire, Gigabit Ethernet, 2 USB 3.0 ports, as well as 7.1 audio. And look at that, they're even using screws on the back to affix all of the heat sinks. Happy to see that. I hate to see push pins on any board that's like pretty decent, because screws are just more secure. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So thank you for checking out my unboxing of the P67A-C45 from MSI. Don't forget to subscribe to Linus Tech Tips for more unboxings, reviews, and other computer videos.